Hello guys, this is the finals for the unofficial Swedish Championship in One Piece. My name is David, I was the head judge for the event, and today I'm joined by
Nils, the sidekick of the event.
And we will be watching and commentating the finals for you guys.
We will give you our thoughts about the matches, what could have been done differently, or maybe another opinion on a play, and get you through the match play by play.
So on the left side we have Enel, who is played by Ludwig, and on the right side we have Gecko Moria, played by Alec, or also known as Honest.
As we saw, quite general lists, I think. There's no really big spice in the list. Maybe you can consider the 4-cost event in Enel, which plays an Enel, and then Discourage Life to 1 as a spicy tech, but I think it's quite standard during these times playing Enel at OPO 7. And then Alex, I think he had quite a regular Gecko Moria list. I know I've seen some players during this time play Rebecca, but they opted to play the more consistent version, which focuses more on the Thriller Bark Pirates.
Turn 1 Sindri, pretty standard, very good play.
Mills 5, and there we see a Rob Lucci at the front, an Eruption, a Helmeppo, can't really make out. I think it's
an Absalom in there.
I think it's a Sabo maybe, but probably an Absalom, yeah. So pretty okay Mills going to start, and as no surprise, Enel just passes the turn.
Just to make sure that the guys are aware, this is EB and not OPO 7.
All right. So quite a standard turn 2 player from Moria, just using the leader ability to swing and try and resurrect one of your characters. Let's see what he goes for. He mills
Absalom, Milsuru, and Hogback.
He chooses to go for the Hogback, I think, since there's no target for Absalons, to get back some card advantage from the disc. No, he opts not to use the effect, probably to keep targets for the later turns.
Yeah, and just like get down a body.
Yeah.
Quite alright. And we see Shirahoshi from life here.
Very, very good early trigger.
Yeah.
Makes you be able to line up your curve. You don't play that many early game plays in Enel, so it's probably get the good cycle early game to try and find them.
I think also it might be nice to get it down early so you can start recycling it with your Katakuri.
Yeah, and pressuring life as well in this matchup. There were some arguments to keep them at 4 life so you get some value, but I think you can push like at least the first early damage.
I think we'll definitely see him swing at least 1 damage here, and then take it a bit more easy when it comes to 4 here.
Then he goes to 4, and then he plays down the Okiku. Notably, Alex only has 3 life right now, so the Okiku won't get the effect if he KZO it, which there might be an argument to maybe just swing leader here to make them pressure to get them down to 3 life, making the Okiku live. But I think he maybe has a Gadatsu in hand, which he wants to line up. And there are some times here when the black player maybe plays a Sabo on 5 to fix the hand, which then makes the Okiku live during the next turn.
And here we see the Moria player play Helmeppo, giving minus to the opponent's Okiku no Yu. And he's probably going to get rid of it, especially since he's at 4 life, so he won't get the on KO, which is probably quite big.
I think this is a very heads-up play from Alex playing the Helmeppo here, because you are the aggressive deck in this matchup. So I think instead of maybe using the events like Volcanic Eruption or Ice Age to reduce it, you want to get down the body, which then will be able to pressure the Enel player in the later turns. And then here we see just a 5 attack to leader, and which gets countered.
By a 2k though.
Yes, I think that maybe he has the Gadatsu as the only 1k in hand, so he really wants to save
Makes
that.
Sense.
Usually Enel player just likes to take every life, but I think this is somewhat heads up because he's very behind in the board. So I think you might want to be able to survive another turn with your Katakuri play so you don't get down to 1 life. But there we see the Gadatsu equalizing the board. So I think Ludwig is in a very great position here. He doesn't have any characters which Alex can try and attack, so he's forced to attack the life. And then he has another cushion because he protected the last turn, which makes him have a lot of time to build up to the bigger amounts of dons where you'll be able to drop your bombs. As you can see in his hand, he just showed us a Katakuri and Yamato.
I'm not quite sure if I liked the counter on the Hogback or not, because you go down in the hand size very quickly, and we will see later on how we won't be able to protect some of the swings that might matter.
And we're just pressuring the life here. So Alex just poking 5s makes sense. You want a lot of small attacks against Enels and not really big ones if they just don't have 1 life, for example, or if you're not trying to push for game. So we just see him pressuring here. And then he tries picking up 2 dons, but doesn't seem he wants to. Here you have 2 options. Maybe you can try and pressure the life. He only has 1 life, and I don't think he has used the leader ability here. So doing 1 big attack here is really inefficient, because he will just take the life and then recycle a card in hand, which is a plus for the Enel player here. So the play is either probably play 4-cost character here, or try and attack with the Scenery and the Gecko Moria to get some value.
I wonder why he decided to swing 6 with Hogback, because now he goes 2-6 into 5 instead of 5-5 into 7.
I think you might want to spread out the dons to get some more value out of the attacks, because if you do a big 7 at the end, he just takes it, and then he gets 2 1Ks instead of 2 2Ks, if he wants to save the counter in hand.
But we saw him counter a 1K earlier with 2K, which gives us
The
belief
information
that he doesn't have that many 1K counters, or that the 1K counters might be important to him.
That is a good point. That might be an argument to swing 5s instead. I think it was a bit weird as well to not swing leader first, then Scenery, because now he gets the option to maybe contest the Scenery very easily. I might not come up that it's a 2K body, but especially if he protected the Gecko Moria attack, there's no reason to swing with the Scenery. It just gives him another cycle, so I think it might be optimal to swing with leader first, just a small thing that probably won't end up mattering. And here we see the Gadato attack gets countered, and then we see the Enel attacking, still attacks the Scenery. Probably because he doesn't want him to give the Helmap bow for the Gecko Moria play in the drops. And then we just see a Katakuri come down, placing the Shirohoshi in life.
A lot of logical plays from the Enel player.
Yeah.
Nothing too shocking or fancy.
I think this seems like a pretty good spot for the Enel player. You're not that behind in board. You have a good life, you have a good hand size, and you have a Shirohoshi in life. You might be afraid of the Moria here coming down, especially with him being a 9 dons, which makes him able to go Ice Age and maybe kill both of the targets. But probably depends on his hand and drop zone, which we can't really see right now. There we see at least an Ice Age and a Volcanic Eruption. Yes, so then he goes for the Ice Age, minusing the Katakuri, going down to 3 cost. And that is probably a sign that we're going to see a Gecko Moria here.
But Gecko Moria only gets rid of 1 of the characters here, though.
That is true. He goes for the Lucci and the Sura, I would assume. Yeah. And this only kills the Katakuri, which is still a very good play because it puts a lot of characters on the board.
Yeah, you get a lot of bodies and you get rid of one of your biggest body. Yeah.
And I was just thinking about what he's going to put to the bottom with leaders or with Rob Lucci's ability. And then the Katakuri goes. So Moria in a pretty good spot as well. You have a lot of life, which is very important. Because when these big drops coming down. You do though only have 2 cards in hand, which might be a problem for the later turns when these big bodies tries and contest your bigger bodies.
I think maybe could have taken like 1 more life, but he hasn't swung at life, so...
Yeah, maybe that's a heads-up play, trying to really grind out this Moria. But it's really hard to outgrind the 8-cost Gecko Moria, especially with Gecko Moria's ability to be able to recycle them with Hogback.
Yeah.
Or is he thinking about? I think he's fanning a Yamato here, which seems like a pretty good play from here. Able to come down on the board, removing probably the Hogback or either the Rob Lucci, depending on what names he has in trash.
If he does have a Katakuri here, I would like Katakuri, put Moria on the bottom life.
Yeah, I like
that's like the best play.
Yeah, I like that play because he has 2 life already, so there's no really... Like, you don't get the life of Yamato, but when we're discussing the plays, you see he's fanning
a Katakuri in his hand as well.
Yeah, but then you see he's fanning a Flamp as well, so I think the thought is playing Flamp, grab a life, then play Yamato to be able to draw a card.
Yeah.
But I think
I still think the value in just putting Moria at the bottom life, making sure it takes a long time for Moria to see the Moria again.
Also, it just gives him more time, I think. Gets rid of threats on the board.
Yeah.
Which I quite like as well. Yeah, I think the Moria to life here seems like a good play. It also gives you 2 extra, like an extra don to maybe like push some damage.
Yeah. Only only has 2 cards in hand, which makes him quite vulnerable.
I think there's no reason to keep the Gidatsu unsuspended here. I think it's just gonna get removed either way. Especially since he has 2 cards in hand, that might just not be efficient enough to get rid of a big body. So then the only thing he goes for is the Gidatsu. So I
can see one reason to keep the Gidatsu standing, just so you can have it next turn to contest the bodies that's swung, instead of just having it being swung at right now.
But I think the problem is I don't know his hand, but he only has 2 cards in hand, and I don't know if you're able to kill the Yamato without an event. But here we see it goes up to 3 cards and doesn't swing with the Gidatsu.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Yamato getting KO'd or destroyed here.
Yeah, so maybe it just kills the Gidatsu, which then Gidatsu swinging is probably the better play.
Yeah.
There's
if
an argument.
He has Moria or can find one, he could get rid of both Gidatsu and Flampe.
That is true as well. But I think, let's see, he goes for Isho here, which
is one of the spicier techs in the Moria player list.
I think this was an adaptation for maybe the black-yellow Luffy matchup.
Black-yellow and also, I believe, Sakazuki matchups.
Yeah. And then,
rips 2 Yamatos, that's big.
That's pretty big. And then he goes, I think Issue's a heads-up play, you're ahead on board, and you have 3 life, you're not really under any dangers. I think this is the time when you can take a turn off and just play Issue instead of trying to clear. And it's also really efficient, right? Because it plays 1 card, gets rid of 2.
Yeah, and 2 very good cards in this case.
Yeah, 2 very good cards, yeah. Then he swings 5 here, takes it.
Uses leader skill, see what he discards.
He decided to take the 5 instead of protecting against the 9 Gecko, which is coming in, which probably is a tell that he doesn't have a lot of counters in hand, which we can now see when he fans out his hand.
And trashes a Sabo, which is a 1k counter.
That is interesting. And then he goes for a 5 here. This is probably going to get countered out of, And then the 9 is probably going to go through if he decides to swing. And he does not decide to swing.
Also, I think maybe the reason he did Flampe on taking Shirahoshi to his life instead of taking the bottom life is because you didn't have that many counters in hand. Maybe you wanted a guaranteed 1k.
The weird thing for me there is then you can just take the bottom life with Flampe and still have... No, that's true. Because then he decides, But I think still Shirahoshi is better.
Yeah.
It gets the cycle.
Well, we saw that there was no trigger here as well, so...
Maybe he felt forced to maybe high roll with a 0-cost event or the 2-cost event that discards 2 and gains you a life. So maybe he wanted to high roll with that because he felt very threatened with that little counter in hand.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting play is not swinging with Moria here. I think the argument for that is that you're afraid of him maybe swinging 11 with Yamato against your Moria, and you don't have enough counter to protect it. And then he plays maybe a Katakuri and gets another life. But I think that I can't see his hand right now, but I think I just saw a 0 and maybe a counter. I think I would have swung with the Moria, because if he has to commit a lot of dons to the Yamato to try and get over the Moria, that's not don he's using to heal. And as we saw, he took the 5 earlier, which probably means that he doesn't have enough counters to counter out of the Moria, which forces him to 0 life, which forces him to heal. And that only makes it able to probably swing a 11 and then play Katakuri.
Yeah, I believe he had a Surya 1k counter and Ice Age before he took the life here.
In that case, I think you probably attack with the Moria there.
Yeah.
Especially if you're confident that you can probably contest the 11 attack.
Yeah, and then you can have the Isho swing back as well with the Moria on Yamato.
And I just think you go for game at that point. If they can't kill the Moria.
Yeah.
Then he goes, especially then we also see him going 9 to 5. Then we see 2 dons for the Hiyori, takes the last life. This would also be a play you would be able to prevent if you swung with the Moria, I think.
Yeah.
And now he gets 2 life, And that's probably a 0-cost event, I would assume, or a 2-cost event.
Or in worst case, like a big.
Or a bitch, for sure.
Fine.
So I think he's in quite a safe position here now. He also has some cards in hand, which might be able to protect from the Moria and the Isho swings here.
But I believe that the Enel has 1 ace in hand, if I cost ace from star deck.
Yeah, and then I think,
1 Kingdom Come and 1 I'm God. Or 1 Raigo and 1 I'm God.
yes. Then now we're just seeing what the Moria players do. He decides to put 1 down on issue, which makes sense. Try reduce, make them easier to kill. And then we see what he decides on doing next. That's probably an event if
I
he
think I
goes.
see a Eruption in his hand. So probably gonna go for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Choosing the target being probably the Katakuri, I would assume.
He should draw
Yes.
here before. He hasn't drawn yet, I believe.
It's important to draw first on
Yeah.
that card
Get
because
extra information.
might influence your decision.
Yeah.
But then we see goes for the Katakuri, and then I would assume with 8 dons remaining, it's probably a Moria, which gonna play like a 0 and a Roblucci and kill the Katakuri and Gadatsu. I would assume only leaving him with a Yamato, Flampe, and Enel,
Yeah.
which does look like a pretty hard to go for game from that standpoint, I would say. So I think the reasoning here is quite good. And then
So it looks like we have more in hand, yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the Moria comes down, yeah, I don't think there's much to think about here. He just goes for the 0 and Lucci, yeah. And the target is Katakuria, and then he uses Roblucci's effect to KOs. Yeah, okay, so both the Katakuri and Gadatsu.
And here I don't think you care that much about leaving your Isho and Moria standing. I think you want to swing right now.
Yeah, I think has some more cards in hand, and there's only the Yamato, which is a real threat against them.
Yeah.
But I think the last lifer is gonna make some decisions. So let's see what he does here. He goes 5 with make Moria make sense. Maybe you should have swung first with leader before doing this, so he doesn't KO your Roblucci with like an event or something.
Oh, that's not supposed to be able to swing.
Then we have an illegal attack here.
Yeah. I don't think it will matter in the end. So I
No,
think
as
it's
you'll see,
alright.
it won't end up really mattering here. But that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
You just have to. These players have been playing One Piece for like 10 hours now, so they're really tired. So people messing up is probably just a human thing and not a malicious thing or else. And then we see the 2-cost event there, the 200 million volts Amaru.
Makes sense. You want to make sure that your last life is something that gives you more life. So, no wonder.
Yeah, then he discards 2 of his non-counters, which he's probably had in his hand for a long time. And then he's gonna...
Have we seen an Enel go to trash? I don't think so, right?
No, and then he goes then that uses the leader ability, right?
Yeah. So wouldn't it make more sense to discard the I'm God here instead of the ace?
I think that's able to play from hand as well, right? The 4-cost event. So I think he's maybe thinking about high rolling, trying to go for game next turn, and maybe hard drawing the Enel here. So I think that's the reasoning why he's keeping that, because he feels like it's his last turn.
He might need to go for game quite soon.
Yeah.
Especially with the Moria having a lot of big bodies on board.
Because the Flampe is not really what you want to swing with when going for game, especially when...
Here we see, though, the I'm God being
Yeah.
discarded.
And then he goes for a 10k. This gets 2k against the Yamato, right? And then against the Yamato again. I
don't think I like that he swung at the Yamato.
I mean, I think it might make sense, because we're gonna see here that I won't spoil anything, but I think from the perspective he has now, I think it makes sense, especially when we knew he didn't really have a lot of cards in hand.
Yeah.
Also,
I can see it from the standpoint where you don't want to give them something that might have rush.
Yeah, maybe like an Okika or Life or something, which would be detrimental here when you're gonna see here. I probably think the Moria player feels threatened here.
Yeah, that's alright, I guess.
Let's see. Yes, he tries to go for game, so that's an 8 against Life. No hesitation in taking it. Probably tells us that he does not have enough counter for 8k. And then there's the other 8k swing against lead.
I think I would like a 7-9 more here, since he had 3 cards in hand first.
That might make correct. And then he goes for the 9k.
Yeah, didn't matter.
And then, as you see, he did not have enough counter. So the swing with Lucci did not really end up mattering here. And that is game 1. It goes to the Enel player. Yeah, I think the match was pretty well played from both parts. I don't think I think we saw some things that maybe could have been improved on, maybe like how he decided to swing, for example. Maybe if there's an argument to maybe swing 9 instead of playing the Okiku, but I don't think that is really necessary here. I think they both played well for playing One Piece for 10 hours.
Yeah, I think it was a bit interesting of the Enel player to make the decision that he don't want to grind the game that much, that he has like the window to try to sneak in a game.
Yeah, if you're talking about the Katakuri thing.
Yeah.
I think, Enel really thrives the longer they go. I think there might be, I am not that familiar with the matchup, but I think might be, like, maybe they can't outgrind the Moria value. That card is really, really good at grinding, especially when you can get it back with Hogback. So I don't know, he might be more familiar and felt threatened that he needed to push for game instead of trying to drag the game out. But traditionally, Enel has been very good in the grind game, and I think removing the 9K's body there really relieves a lot of pressure from the board and them trying to pressure you.
Yeah.
And now we're going to game 2. I think the Moria player decided to go first. They're just resolving mulligans right now. I think the Moria player seemed happy with his hand. The Enel player is still thinking about keeping or not. I think I can't really see what is in hand, but I think I saw Satoru and something else.
Yeah, Satoru and Katakuri in an event, I believe I saw.
There's a Katakuri here. I think there's a
Amaru.
Sabo. I think Sabo could be pretty okay in this matchup.
Yeah.
There might be Moria still is pressuring you early game, and then maybe Sabo giving them back another target for leader ability and removing a life might be detrimental because you have to slow down the aggression in the early game, but it still might be enough to contend the board to be worth enough playing. Then we see another Sinri meal. I think we see no Thriller Bark Pirates in that pile, sadly. Ikusen on top. I think it's a Suro, Helmeppo.
I think it might be an Absalom behind the Kusan, I'm not sure though.
I don't know. Might be not. And then it's just pass from Enel standard play. Then we see the Moria takes his 3-Dawn turn. Probably just another
5/5.
No, I think
he goes.
I think
So
he might have a Thriller Bark in hand.
Okay, yeah.
So he
makes
might be
sense.
able to discard here to still utilize the leader ability. I think he discarded a Hogback and then he milled into
Hogback and Ice Age.
Ice Age. Okay, and then he just goes for Hogback, see if he uses the ability here or not. He decided not to use it last game just to keep targets around, and it seems like that's the decision again. Yeah. He just takes it standard Enel play, so I don't think anything's too different from game 1 here. He goes just 9 to leader. Yeah. An easy take, I think. That probably tells him that he does not have a 4-drop in hand. And then, just decides to take it, which is quite standard, I would guess. Now it's his 5-Dawn turn here. This time he cannot play the Helmeppo, so let's see how he navigates this one. I think it's more important to develop the board here than try and get the Enel down to low life. So I would probably assume we'll get some weak attack here instead of trying to really pressure life.
Yeah, maybe. If he has brand new here, I think he's here in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Going 5 and 6. Playing two bodies.
And then he goes...
Perona here?
Perona is really good in this matchup because they always have 5 or more cards on this pressure. It's really hard to contend early game. And it can't really be removed against Gedatsu because you just play it up again. And then they have to discard another card. So Perona is a sticky body in this matchup particularly, I think.
Especially because it's something that the Enel don't really want to remove, so you can keep playing it. So.
And he just counters from there. I think he understands that because he did not play a 4-drop this turn, he's really behind on board. So maybe he wants to have a bit of life at least, so he just doesn't die very early.
Yeah, make sure it doesn't go down too quick.
Yep. Then we have a 6-Dawn turn. I would assume, it's a 6, probably a 5-drop. I would assume it's... okay, there's the Gedatsu, but I would understand why he would counter the last attack, because if he needed to play Sabo here, he needed the extra life to not go down to 0.
I think it's a bit interesting from the Moria player countering this one. Because, he can probably tell that you're going to Gedatsu. And if you don't counter the Hogback attack, then he would have to like get rid of the Perona.
Which
with
makes you be able to
Gigatsu.
play it again.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe he has another Perona in hand, or I think you just really want the bodies in this matchup to pressure the Enel. So I think it's not that bad to counter out of it here. But that really depends on how he plays this turn. Because Enel is only a 2 life, right? And I don't think you want to swing with the Sindri here, which probably just only leaves you to 2 attacks this turn. And 2 attacks here against Enel is really bad, because he just takes the first life, and then if you give him the other attack, he just takes it. And he just gets to cycle a free card. So there
also
might...
thinking about like last game, he didn't have that big of a hand.
Yeah, enough cards.
And he lost kind of towards it.
Yeah, no, that's true as well. So maybe, and then, because Perona here pushing him down to 1 life is a pretty efficient play, and then you're able to play another 4 drop as well, which, yeah, makes sense. And then you get the 2k hand. Yeah, that doesn't seem really that bad. But I understand why he wants the bodies, because you need a lot of bodies to go for game against Enel. But here we see the 5 attack and Sinu. I don't really particularly like this,
I would just like go 6 with the leader, play something out, and then hard play something from hand.
Yeah, it seems. Maybe it doesn't have a 4 drop in hand or something, but I don't particularly like this play. And now we see 7. I would assume he uses a leader ability here, but he does not seem like he does this. And then here he just goes 7.
So he doesn't get any bodies on board?
And then he just gives the Enel player a free cycle. This seems really, really bad for the Moria player. Because now I think we go into the Enel player's 8 Dawn turn. He does not have... Katakuri is not that good, because he doesn't have a good target to put in life. But the problem is that the Moria player does not have a board in any shape after this turn, probably because he can just contest it.
Yeah, he can easily get rid of the Perona
and the Sindri.
And then he doesn't need to care about much else in the leader.
Yeah, and then he just wins. He's just winning the board right now.
Yeah, to me it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't just go 5 with Perona and then swing 7 leader and do ability.
No, yeah, just in this case, just instead of attacking 7 the Perona, just using leader ability to play a hogback, because we know he has targets for the hogback.
Yeah, that means like you can go 5 and then 7. Just
and then and then you have both Perona and hogback standing.
Because I don't think that the difference between 5 and 7 really matters here.
Yeah, and there's no difference at all. And this Perona attack, I think, is just bad. I think you just pass here, because now he just gives him a free cycle and makes the Perona very easily to contest. And yeah, we see them passing back to the Enel player. Seems like in a pretty good spot here, I would guess. Especially after being able to cycle with the 4-cost event. Let's see what he does for his 8 on turn. He decides to contest, the Perona with a 7. That dies. Then I would assume you don't care about the Sindri here, so the Gigatsu should probably go for life.
Yeah.
See what he does. I think he uses 2 dawns and tries 8. Yeah, goes 8 to lead. Makes sense. And then he just decides to play down.
Maybe a Kikunoya here will be good.
Yeah, that would also... Yeah, he then goes Volcanic Corruption to try. I don't know if I like this either. I think this depends on how the Moria player knows his hands fans out. But I usually don't like using the Great Eruption trigger.
Yeah.
It's quite a valuable card, especially
at least
Moria.
Not when you're not guaranteed to be able to go for game next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he plays in Kikunoja here, which is really good. He's at 3 or lower life, and if he kills it, he gets another life.
And now with him using the Eruption trigger, he can't go Eruption into like Absalom or something like that.
I should just, which I think is interesting here from Ludwig is that if Moria decides to kill the Okikunoju here, he limits him from playing Yamato next turn. Because if he kills both of them with Katakuri, the Okiku heals the life, and then he won't be able to play Yamato and get the life as well as KOing and thing. Which I think might be interesting. There might also you might just also play the Moria and just kill the Gigatsu. No, that's... I think contesting both, as I said, is probably better. But then he decides here to play Isho.
Let's see what he rips here.
The Isho play here is...
Oh, Jamato and a Flampe. That's quite nice. I do like the Isho play here, because the following turn, you can go like 1 down on the Isho, and you have pretty good Roblucci or Moria into Lucci, KOing both Gedatsu and
Yeah. My only
Fukunaga.
fear from doing this is that he can play a Katakuri here, which then just puts the issue to life, and then he just does not have a board anymore.
yeah.
Which I think that this play might be quite dangerous.
Yeah, and I think that might be what we're gonna see. I think we saw Katakuri in.
I should also
Time.
mention here that if you KO the Kiko, he could go Flampe Yamato as well to get the other life. But
Or
here we
goes
see the
Kingdom Come
Raikou.
here. Yeah.
That is devastating. And this is also nice. This is also another variant of, instead of playing Katakuri, go this, because that allows you to go 7/7/7 against lead to push damage.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really need the Katakuri on board here to pressure anything. Like, you get rid of one of the threats and then they only have Cinder
Yeah,
left.
I think both plays are quite, this might be better depending on how the Enel players hands lines up.
I would say this better. Like, you don't need a Katakuri on board here. Like, you get rid of the issue no matter what, and then you don't need like a body to pressure the Sindri.
I'm more enticed here to do this if they have rush characters in hand, maybe like in 7-cost Enel or the Ace, which I think is more relevant now. Because this kind of leaves you vulnerable to them clearing your board, because then you don't have a board anymore, which might be able to make the Moria player stabilize. But if they have like rush characters in hand, I think it's very hard to kill both of them and stabilize at the same time. So I think it pans out better if they have rush cards in hand.
Yeah, and I think like if the Moria player is able to stabilize, he will like only stabilize for a turn, and then on Enel's turn, I think he'll probably make it even on the board.
Yeah, the notable thing is the Moria plays a lot more cards in hand, and Enel kind of becomes hard for Enel when you have not a lot of cards in hand, because instead of hitting the life, they just hit your big characters instead, which starves you from your life, which makes Yamato worse because you don't get the heal.
Here we see Ice Age from Gedatsu. He might go for Moria here, playing like a helmet for Lucci if he has.
I assume there seems to be
Eruption, and then probably Roblucci or Moria.
Yeah, I think I see 8 tons left, so I would assume it's just Gecko Moria.
Yeah, if he has it, that's 100% right play.
Damn good card. No,
okay, he only has the Roblucci, so he probably will pressure life with the remaining 4 runs.
Yeah. Or maybe play a Borsalino, right?
Yeah, that makes sense as well if he will...
to get a sticky blocker, because he only has 1 life, maybe be able to...
I think the Borsalino would be the right play if he has it.
But he does not seem to have it, because he's going life instead. Maybe you can play up... Yeah, he has 2 lives. This attack may be okay. Kind of plays into Yamato, I think, but seems to be fine. I think you just want like to play Hogback and maybe get a Moria, or no, he already has a Moria.
Oh, he didn't play the Moria and he decided to discard it here instead.
And that is
quite interesting.
That is very interesting. I don't think you really want to pressure the Enel's life here, because you play very into Yamato here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really super big difference, because you just give them a free card essentially.
And here this grabs 2k counter to his hand. The Hogback.
Maybe he valued the 2k counter more than the Moria bodies, but I think that's quite weird, because I think you need to be on the board instead of just having cards in your hand.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a brand new in his trash, but if he had, then the Moria player would 100% be right play, I believe.
Yeah, and then we just here see the reject, and
then it goes
just
for
goes for game.
And I think that's it.
Yeah.
He didn't have it. Oh, he had another Moria. So even then, I don't like him playing down the Hogback here.
Maybe I think the argument of doing that play might be because he wants to play around reject and maybe just wants enough counter in hand. But the problem then is I don't think he even might be able to kill the Enel player on the crackback. He might be able to do that, and then he think he's only out is trying to get enough counter so you know for sure that you survive the reject.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the only thing for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the 2 matches.
Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully we'll have some big events in the future. We will at least try to do this a year from now.
Yeah.
So hope to give you guys more content.
Yeah, and big congratulations to Ludwig as well for winning.
And well played for Alex as well.
Yeah, for coming second as well. Really good job, guys.